Good evening, and welcome to the Putnam Valley Board of Education meeting of June 15th, 2017. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So our first order of business will be regarding the minutes. I resolve to approve the minutes of the work session business meeting of June 1st, 2017.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
I would also like to announce that the treasurer's report for May 2017 is available in the district office. So we have one presentation tonight regarding our audit committee, and we have somehow had Barbara Parmley, who never actually leaves, be our audit committee chairperson.
Good evening. I don't know whether it's by default or the grace of God, but I was the chairperson for the audit committee for half of the year. We didn't have one in the beginning. So I wanted to just kind of summarize the year for you. First, I want to thank the people in our community who volunteered to serve on the audit committee. Dan Carlin, Guy Cohen, Valerie Fitzgerald, Marianne Gribben, Ruari Gribben, Ellen Hayes, and Dan Vera. The Audit Committee provides independent advice and recommendations to the Board about the internal and external audit functions and reports. We met 3 times this school year and have our final meeting scheduled for next week. We first met to discuss the internal auditor's report on payroll and human services, which was done the prior year. David Moran from McCune Partners stressed the overall satisfactory rating received by the district. We also discussed the State Comptroller's audit report on our budgets from July 2014 to February 2016. Many of the things suggested by the State Comptroller had already been included prior to the audit in the 2015-16 and 2016-17 Putnam Valley School District budgets. We also discussed the fund balance recommendations being made to the board at the August 2016 meeting. After much discussion, the Audit Committee came to a compromise solution to be presented to the Board, but we failed to present our findings to the Board. We did not have a chairperson at that time, and no one reported our recommendation to the Board. We will hopefully avoid this issue in the future by reporting to the Board after each of our meetings. Our external auditors, O'Connor Davies, reported to us in October and then presented their findings to the Board. Dominic Consolo reported that the district was in great shape and had already made moves to improve practices that were noted as needing clarification. We met in December but did not have a quorum, so no recommendations were made. Our external auditors were represented to explain O'Connor Davies' connection to the problems in Ramapo. They've added an independent firm to check their quality review process and provide additional training. Jill Figuerella submitted a request for proposals from other firms for next year's external auditor. We've received those bids and will review them next week at our final meeting. We will make our recommendations to the board at that time. We will be reviewing our current audit committee charter at our final meeting and will make recommendations to the board for changes that we feel will clarify our work and our ability to serve the board. Finally, as this year's committee has completed its work, or almost, I would like to ask members of our community at large to consider serving on the audit committee next year. It's only a 1-year commitment, and we usually meet 4 times a year. If you have or know someone who has a background in accounting, auditing, and/or financial statements, or someone who's interested in learning about them, please consider sending a letter of interest to the district office. Our first meeting should be in late August or early September. This is important work and ensures that an outside committee is giving independent advice to our board. Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay?
Any questions?
Questions? Guy?
The meeting you have scheduled for the 20th, before that, there's the middle school moving up, and it's going to be announced tonight about a special Board of Ed meeting starting at 7.
I know, that's why I'm going to let Jill tell me what to do about that.
Okay.
We really need her there because we're going to talk about the proposals for the new external auditor. And although she could brief me, it's kind of not the same as having Jill there. Whether she could come up here and do some things and come down to us when we're ready to discuss that, I don't know. We've scheduled with the auditors and the audit committee already. We've been on, we've had this scheduled for more than a month. So to change it now, we've had such a hard time getting the audit committee together.
I think what we'll try to do is, I'll try to get together with you and brief you prior to the meeting start time. And I'm definitely going to be needed at the board meeting.
Right.
And I'll try to brief you enough so that you'll be able to conduct the meeting with the audit committee. And I think the decisions that need to be made are basically surrounded around the committee, not so much myself. I mean, I will give my recommendation to you, and then you could, talk it over with
Right, but
them.
we don't actually have to work with the auditors, you do, so I really need, but
Right.
I think we can work that out, and if you could send us somebody to take minutes, I'm not really, I can, but.
Well,
I'm
since
not
we
really-
have guests coming from the current auditors group and the internal and the external, the internal and the external auditors group that night, I think we've tried really hard to get this group together. There are so many that we need to make a quorum so we can make decisions.
Right.
And that's part of the difficulty of the group. So I think we should keep the meeting scheduled, both, at 6:30 when we made it.
Okay, and so Guy, you're probably only going to be there till 7.
Yeah, but I could come late depending on what goes on at the middle school.
Would there be any possibility, since the middle school moving up is 6 to 7?
6 to 7.
And usually it's done by about 10 to 7.
It's
Oh,
5:30.
5
And
Yeah.
it's over by 6:15, yeah.
Hopefully,
I have 5
hopefully,
p.m.
yes.
I mean, could we have our meeting be 7:30? That's late, but,
I don't know who
It
you
would be
have.
helpful, but I'm not, it's up to the rest of the group.
Well, you can let me know.
okay. Why don't
Okay.
we-
Will do.
And you just have to change the announcement and amend the time if that's the case. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay. So let's move on to student report. Erin, as you're winding down your senior year, or no, you're not senior year.
No.
You're not
I'm going
winding.
into the
Going
senior
into,
year.
okay.
Junior.
Carry on.
So the high school chorus concert was last week where students did a wonderful job showing off all the different songs they learned during the year, as well as some featured solos that students performed at NYSSMA. The Student Spotlight Award ceremony was also last week, so a big congratulations to everyone who received an award. And last Friday was the Spring Fest, where students from all grades had a very fun time playing Capture the Flag along with other activities. They also enjoyed watching the Powder Puff game, where the junior girls competed against the senior girls in a fun game of football. History was also made that night because it was the first time the juniors had ever beaten the seniors. The Metro High School Theater Awards were also hosted last Monday night, and we would like to give a big congratulations to James Capozito, who won for dance performance for the second year in a row. The event drew over 1,300 attendees from 53 schools from Westchester, Putnam, Rockland, and Bergen counties. And last night were the senior awards, so we'd like to congratulate everyone who received an award and wish them luck in their next journey. And lastly, for sports, we are very proud to announce that Antonia Hoyos placed 3rd in the long jump and 4th in the triple jump at the New York State Track Championship competition.
Perfect. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. And all those events were really incredible. I add my comments to them.
And I just want to extend a true, sincere thank you for all that you have done this year and your contributions, and Sarah as well. You're both two very mature young ladies who are really just incredible, being on time and contributing and being actively involved in the board meetings, and we just really appreciate everything
Thank you.
this year. Thank you.
add all that to Sarah.
I'll tell Sarah.
Just tell her to read the minutes. Just tell her to read the minutes.
Read the minutes, exactly. Is there anyone from the PTA, PTSA? Okay. So we're going to move on to the superintendent's report. You may be confused. This is not Dr. Fran Wills. You can go. Dr. Wills is in Washington, D.C. One of her grandchildren is graduating this weekend. So our assistant superintendent, Ms. Natalie Doherty, will do the superintendent's report.
Good evening. So Dr. Wills asked me just to share a few, well, about 20 photos with you. But before I do that, I'll actually just share a few of the events that are coming up. The 4th grade moving up ceremony is on June 20th at 10 a.m. The 8th grade moving up ceremony is on June 20th at 5 p.m. And again, on the 20th is the audit committee, as you just heard, and also a public presentation regarding certain space requirements and adjustments that may need to be made going into next school year. So that'll be a public presentation on the 20th, either at 7 or 7:30, and we hope you can make it. And of course, our commencement ceremony on June 23rd, or the alternative, if the weather is not cooperative, the 24th in the morning. So I will move on to some of the photos. This is a photo of Miss Cefaloni's math class and some of the real world architectural experiences that students did in her math class. And they had to build these using all of the math skills that they were taught, and there was a display and the community was involved, and this was part of a picture from her lesson where they had to decide on height and just doing all of the measurements for this, for one of those projects. This one is the 7th grade that also helped in building some of the models. Then, of course, Mr. Oliverio was part of the presentation when we were showing these models, and it was truly a community effort. We collaborated with the Putnam Valley Library and our local library, and we had they hosted just different cultures and different cultural backgrounds, and it was really a great event. There was a great turnout, even though the weather was really awful that day. There was probably 22 children there from different cultural backgrounds, and people brought food items. They had arts and crafts. Some of our teachers read. They did certain cultural activities. It was a really just a terrific event. And this is from Katie Odell's classroom. She had her students make just a wall of kind of social justice items and themes, and it was a really nice display in the hallway at the elementary school. This was the night that we all attended. You were there, and it was the Taconic Overpass design display, and where the students had to come up with their designs of different types of overpasses. And this was a Dr. Seuss activity where it just really talked about tolerance, diversity, all different kinds of ways that we need to accept others and include others. This was a course that 2 of our teachers ran, Angela Mettens and, well, part of the time, Julia Coleman for the ENL. It was really a course that instructed our teachers on how to work with students with other languages, and it was fantastic, and they gave out great handouts to the teachers and really nice exercises that they could do to include students in their classroom. This was students outside building for Billy Elliot, a real construction effort using, again, I think Dr. Wills really wanted you to know that how much goes on into the productions, and really one classroom activity leads into another, and really using all of those environmental skills that they've learned along with their math skills, along with their interactions and their creative arts. So it was just such a fantastic event, but all of that behind the scenes work that went on into building the set. This was a Science 21 lesson in Miss Keene and Miss Romanello's class. It was just a real hands-on activity using all natural resources and building things with them. So they were very proud to show everybody. And then this was an activity in the all room, and that's that big space, if you remember, that we built in the middle school. It's a very large space, and it's used for all kinds of community events, school events. It is really a collaborative environment where students can use the walls to write on, and just to have different groups functioning at the same time, different lessons, and it really allows our students to almost start to model what goes on in colleges these days. And as you know, I attend UPenn, and at Wharton they have those types of rooms, and I sent Dr. Wills a picture quite some time ago showing that they have, this is exactly the model that they look for when students go off to school, to be able to work in teams together, to be able to design and figure out problems and solve them together in these types of learning environments. So it's a nice transition. And this was Dr. Wills being interviewed by our student Kayla Cabelli, who is going on to St. Thomas Aquinas actually for human resources. And Kayla worked with Dr. Wills and I this year through her Journeys program. And we gave her all kinds of internship activities to do in the area of human resources. And then this was her final project, was to interview Dr. Wills, and she got the job. So, and this is another Journeys presentation, accumulating from his experiences at the courthouse. And he worked with Sam Oliverio and just had a fantastic experience, and really just such a useful experience on what it really is like to present and to work in the public political environment. And then this was our Academic Achievements Awards. You could see how many students. It was a lovely event. So many of our students were recognized for their individual efforts. Our athletic, our NCAA bound athletes going off to schools who receive scholarships. There's many there. A really nice showing and celebration of our athletes. And then the band and chorus, which is just such a powerful, a powerful evening, and so many people come out to the events. And it's just a really moving, collaborative effort. And Mr. Odell, as you know, just really outperforms every year. From one year to the next, just outdoes himself. And it's just such an inclusive environment and a well-attended event. And then this is the Pollinator Projects, 2 of our students. So just showing off their activity. And then this was the Wax Museum, 2 of our students. One was King Henry and George Washington. And just really cute, great activity, really took ownership. And one student told Dr. Wills when she asked why he chose the trumpet, he said, to hear the sweet sound of the music. So it was really adorable. And then last night, which was a really, it's always a touching event at the Senior Awards celebration, really seeing our seniors who we knew, in kindergarten and have now really moved up and along the way and are receiving these awards for who they stand for and what they represent. It was a really lovely event. So that is it for her report. Again, we look forward to seeing everybody at the upcoming events and look forward to the end of the year, it's certainly a busy time.
Thank you. Anybody have any comments or questions on any of the superintendent report, any of the events? Okay, so I'd like to, at this point, open it up to public contribution on any of the listed agenda items. Okay, so we can move on to new business. Ms. Farrar, you can start us off with number 1.
Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to appoint Adele Foster to a 4-year probationary term as a 7th through 12 English teacher, commencing on September 1st, 2017, and terminating on August 31st, 2021, in the tenure area of secondary English, 7th through 12 at Putnam Valley High School on Step 1 MA of the PVFT salary schedule. Ms. Foster holds initial certification in English, 7th through 12. In order to be eligible for appointment to tenure, said employee must receive at least 3 APPR ratings of effective or highly effective during the 4-year probationary term, and may not receive an ineffective rating in the final year of probation.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Adele comes to us from Teachers College, and she's a new teacher, and we're looking forward to starting with her this year.
She has to do the handshake.
All in
1
favor?
minute, Adele, wait 1
All
minute.
in favor?
Wait for the
Sorry,
important
all
thing,
in
1 minute.
favor?
Just stand
Aye.
Aye.
now.
I get a little distracted in June. Okay, so sorry. That was practice. I got the next one. Number 2, Mr. Smith.
Resolved on recommendation of the superintendent of schools to appoint Matt Danko to a 4-year probationary term as a special education teacher, commencing on September 1st, 2017, and terminating on August 31st, 2021, in the tenure area of special education at Putnam Valley High School on Step 3 MA of the PVFT salary schedule. Mr. Danko holds Students with Disabilities grades 7 to 12 Mathematics Initial Certification, Mathematics 7 to 12 Initial Certification, and Earth Science Initial Certification. In order to be eligible for appointment to tenure, said employee must receive at least 3 APPR ratings of effective or highly effective during the 4-year probationary term, and may not receive an ineffective rating in the final year of probation.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Mr. Danko, I happened to see his demo lesson and was just so impressed. He comes from us from Mount Pleasant Cottage, and we look forward to welcoming him.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to number 3, Mr. Cohen.
Resolved on recommendation of superintendent of schools to appoint James Costable to a 26-week appointment effective July 1st, 2017 through January 1st, 2018, extendable to July 1st, 2018, as a custodial worker groundskeeper at the high school on Step 6 of the CSEA salary schedule.
Second.
Questions or comments?
So Ms. James has been working for us since 2009, and this is just nice to see.
Yes.
Welcoming him.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 4.
Resolved to appoint Linda Carpenter to the position of Claims Auditor effective July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018 at the rate of $100 per hour, and authorize the Superintendent of Schools to enter into an agreement with Ms. Carpenter as per document number 216/17 attached to the official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 5.
Resolved to appoint and authorize the superintendent of schools to enter into an agreement with Dr. Louis Crisaro as the chief medical officer for the district for the 2017-18 school year with a salary of $16,000 as per document number 215/17 attached to the official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 6,
Resolved on recommendation of the superintendent of schools to approve the following full-time teachers as instructional support specialists for the 2017-18 school year, which is in addition to their 1.0 teaching position. High school, Matt Mello, additional 2/10. K through 8 literacy, Cheryl Khan, additional 2/10. K through 8 math, shared by Mick Coleman, additional .133, and Pat Vandervelt, additional .67.
Second.
questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Number 7,
There's a typo here, but I'm going to read it the right way. Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to appoint Brian Mansfield to a provisional appointment effective July 1st, 2017 as head custodian at the high school, middle school on step 6, the CSEA salary schedule.
Second.
questions or comments? We have all seen Brian.
Yeah, I mean, Brian has worked here since 2000, and he's been with us for a long time, and it's such a nice thing to see when people move up, and just love working with him, so looking forward to it.
All in favor? Aye. Number 8,
Resolved to approve a leave of absence for Stephanie Chala for the 2017-18 school year as per document number 243/17 attached to the agenda and official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 9,
Resolved on recommendation of the superintendent of schools to appoint Rebecca Capsuto to a 1-year leave replacement position as a technology/math teacher at the middle school, effective September 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018, or sooner at the discretion of the Board of Education on Step 1, Masters of the PVFT salary schedule. Ms. Capsuto holds initial certification pending review as an educational technology specialist and ESOL.
Second.
questions or comments?
She was currently a student teacher with us, so it's nice to have this ability to hire her for next year with Mr. Kala going out, so.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 10,
Resolved on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to appoint Corinne Phillips to a 1-year leave replacement as a special education teacher at the elementary school effective September 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018, or sooner at the discretion of the Board of Education on Step 2, MA of the PVFT salary schedule. Ms. Phillips holds students with disabilities birth through 2 professional certification, students with disabilities 1 through 6 professional certification, and pre-K, K 1 through 6 permanent certification.
Second.
questions or comments?
Ms. Phillips couldn't be here tonight, but she comes from the New York City school districts. I happen to watch her demo and looking forward to working with her. She's going to be on 3rd grade.
All in favor? Aye. Number 11,
Resolved on recommendation of the superintendent of schools to accept the resignation of Patricia Sappho as per document number 242/17 from her position as of teacher aide in the district, to accept a 4-year probationary term appointment as a teaching assistant 1 in the district, effective September 1st, 2017, and terminating on September 1st, 2021 in the teaching assistant tenure area at annual compensation in the amount of $32,800. Step 11 of the CSEA salary schedule, prorated and in accordance with the PVCSD policy 9250. Ms. Sappho holds a teaching assistant 1 certification.
Second.
questions or comments?
Ms. Sappho's worked for us since 2005, and she's been a teacher aide. She's just such a dedicated employee, and this was a big decision for her, and congratulations to her.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 12.
Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools that the Board of Education hereby creates the following non-instructional position effective July 1st, 2017. 1 12-month senior payroll and benefits clerk in competitive class of the civil service. Therefore, be it resolved upon recommendation of superintendent of schools, the Board of Education ratifies the supplemental memorandum of agreement between the district and CSEA, document 244/17, regarding the newly created position in the CSEA bargaining unit with the corresponding salary schedule and appropriate the funds for such position. A copy of the supplemental memorandum of agreement shall be incorporated by reference within the minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. And before we move on to the consent agenda,
We'd like to welcome Danielle Pizzuto. She's a high school science teacher. She'll be teaching bio and chemistry, and we want to welcome her. She comes to us from the Rye Central City School District. She was appointed at the last board meeting but couldn't make it and wanted to meet us tonight. Come on up.
that was nice, perfect. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Number 1.
Resolved to approve consent agenda items 2 through 14 as appears on the consent agenda portion of this agenda.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Why
Mr.
not?
Cohen.
Okay. We have the CSE, CPSE placements for next year. So it's not just a small group, it's a long list of all the placements in special education and people who need special services. We're approving 4 consulting agreements, one with Eric Gross, and you might see him on TV. He's the person who interviews members of the school district. Karen Ross, who's going to help us with human resources. Joanne Mushroom, who's going to help us with tutoring services. And the ZAMP Tutoring Company, who also helps with tutoring. We heard tonight about a person resigning her aide position and moving on to assistant. Well, there are 18 others who are doing that, and that is part of the consent agenda. We're making the following budget transfer, approximately give me a second. I lost my notes. Approximately $45,000 from employee retirement to maintenance that we need done. We're approving summer hours for the nurse. We're accepting generous donations of musical gifts from like guitars, amplifiers, saxophones, some sheet music stamps, a whole bunch of stuff from Miss Crawford, Miss Bruno, and there was someone else. Miss Crawford and Miss Bruno, maybe that was all, yeah. We're approving consulting teacher to work with our teachers and students during the summer. We're approving an agreement with Seneca Consulting Company that help us with the Affordable Care Act. We're approving Mick Coleman to provide services for math workshops during the summer and during the school year. We're accepting athletic equipment bids for a whole bunch of equipment for next year. We're approving additional summer workers, and we're approving summer hours for the bus drivers and monitors to help transport students with special needs.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. I'd like to open it up to public contribution on any topic.
Okay, I'll just make it really quick. In case you guys did not get it, the New York State School Board's meeting will be on December 12th and 14th at Lake Placid, which is Friday, the day after our meetings. Yesterday, the Community That Cares Committee met, and they went over some things and summarized what we did during the year and some future things. One of the things that's going to be of interest, and which makes sense, is they're looking to put messages on our outdoor signs. You have the dead space, so instead of putting up a flag, you might say underage drinking is not a rite of passage. Be a parent, not a friend. Don't be a clown. So Mr. Bellino was at the meeting, and he's going to start using those. And we discussed a whole bunch of other things, and I won't go into that, what we did actually discuss.
It is a very worthwhile committee, and I know they've done a
Great
lot all
committee.
year long to address a lot of the, both interests and issues.
Yeah, one of the
that face
interesting
our-
things that it does, just as an aside, is every couple of weeks it comes out with a recipe that you can even do with younger children. And some of the things you can talk to them about, or how to take the recipe and turn it into like learning something.
Okay.
So, and they come out with new recipes all the time.
And it links us, even though it's our own communities that care, it links us with the other schools in Putnam County, which is nice. Great. Anybody have anything else they'd like to add? So we do have another meeting, but just in case nobody attend, I just want to wish our seniors a happy prom, and we'll see them at, and a healthy prom, and we'll see them at graduation. I'd like now to resolve to adjourn.
Wait, no, wait,
No?
just wait. We should announce formally again that we will be meeting on Tuesday after the middle school moving
June
up
20th.
to discuss space issues at all our school district buildings. So we'll have a special Board of Ed meeting here as soon as the middle school graduation, approximately at 7 o'clock. We'll be meeting here to discuss space issues. It is the only item on the agenda. So we'll be discussing space issues.
Space
at that.
requirements, right.
And then our first formal meeting of the new school year is July 8th. That will be the reorganization meeting. July 6th, I'm
Sixth.
sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now I'd like a resolve to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Good evening, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.